There is a strange and quiet recognition that happens sometimes in the early years of a life, a feeling that arrives without language, without explanation, a sense that something within you does not quite match the world around you, not in a way that makes you better, not in a way that makes you special in the eyes of others, but in a way that makes you feel quietly, inexplicably alone. It is not arrogance. It is not grandiosity. It is something far more unsettling, a low hum beneath the surface of your awareness, a whisper that says you are walking a path that most people around you do not see, do not feel, do not understand. And in that early confusion, you do not yet know what to call it. You only know that it is there, like a strange object buried beneath the soil of your consciousness, something you cannot name, something others cannot identify, something that even you struggle to comprehend. Imagine for a moment that you are a child, and you find something in the dirt. It is solid, it is real, but no one around you knows what it is. They look at it, they turn it over in their hands, they offer guesses, but none of them are right. And you, the one who found it, you do not know either, but you feel it. You feel its weight, you feel its presence, and you carry it with you, tucked away in your pocket, hidden from sight, because you know instinctively that this object, whatever it is not meant to be understood by everyone. It is yours to hold, yours to carry, yours to one day understand. This is the beginning of what's been called, across centuries and cultures, the journey of the one who awakens, not the chosen one in the sense of divine appointment, not the selected one in the sense of cosmic favoritism, but the one who has been given, or who has stumbled upon, or who has been unable to ignore the quiet and relentless call to go deeper, to question more, to see what others do not see, not because they are incapable, but because they have not yet been pulled into that particular current of awareness. If you have felt this, if you recognize a strange and solitary knowing, then perhaps you also recognize the loneliness that comes with it. Because to carry something that others cannot see is to live in a kind of isolation that is difficult to articulate. You are among people, but you are not fully with them. You are in conversations, but you are half listening, half watching, half wondering why the things that matter to everyone else seem somehow distant to you, as if you're standing just outside the circle, observing rather than participating. And this is not because you are superior. It is not because you are more evolved, more enlightened, more worthy. It is because your attention has been captured by something else, something interior, something that pulls you away from the surface of life and down into its depths. And that pull, that inward gravity, is not a gift in the way we usually think of gifts. It is more like a burden, a responsibility, a task that you did not choose, but that has chosen you nonetheless, not in the sense of destiny, but in the sense of psychological necessity. If you are still here, still listening, still feeling that quiet resonance with what is being said, then stay a little longer. There is more to uncover, more to understand, and perhaps, in this shared space of reflection, you are not as alone as you once believed. In the beginning, this sense of difference often manifests as sensitivity. Not the kind of sensitivity that is weak or fragile, but the kind that is acute, that picks up on currents others do not notice, on tensions others do not feel, on meanings others do not question. You walk into a room, and you sense the emotional temperature before anyone speaks. You hear the words people say, but you also hear what is beneath the words, the fear, the longing, the performance, the mask. You see people not only as they present themselves, but as they are when no one is watching, and this double vision, this layered perception, exhausts you, because it is not something you can turn off. It is not something you chose to develop. It is simply the way your nervous system, your psyche, your awareness is structured. And in a world that values certainty, that values clarity, that values the ability to take things at face value, this kind of sensitivity becomes a liability. You are told you are too intense, too serious, too complicated. You are told to lighten up, to stop overthinking, to stop asking questions that make people uncomfortable. And so you learn, often very young, to hide this part of yourself, to tuck it away like that strange object you found, to pretend that you're like everyone else, even though you know deep down that you are not. But here's the paradox. The more you hide it, the more it grows, the more you suppress your awareness, the louder it becomes. Because this is not something that can be ignored indefinitely. This is not a phase, not a mood, not a temporary state of mind. This is a structural feature of your consciousness, a lens through which you see the world. And it will not go away simply because it is inconvenient or isolating or difficult to explain. And so, at some point, often in adolescence or early adulthood, you reach a crossroads. You can continue to suppress it, continue to conform, continue to pretend, or you can begin to turn toward it, to examine it, to ask what it wants from you, what it is trying to show you, what it is calling you to become. And this turning, this choice to face the inward pull rather than resist it, is the first real step on the path that myths and stories have described for thousands of years. It is the moment when the hero, the seeker, the wanderer hears the call and decides, consciously or unconsciously, to follow it. But following the call does not mean the path becomes clear. In fact, it often becomes more confusing, more chaotic, more disorienting. Because once you begin to question the surface of life, once you begin to look beneath the masks and the roles and the identities that people present, you inevitably begin to question your own mask, your own role, your own identity. Who are you really beneath the expectations others have placed on you? Who are you beneath the stories you have told yourself about who you are supposed to be? Who are you when you strip away the performance, the pretense, the protective layers you build up over years of trying to fit in, trying to belong, trying to be acceptable? These are not easy questions. These are not comfortable questions, and they do not yield easy answers. Instead, they lead you into a wilderness, a psychological landscape that is unfamiliar, unpredictable, and often frightening. You lose your footing. You lose your sense of direction. You lose the comfort of certainty. And in that loss, you are tempted again and again to turn back, to retreat into the safety of the known, the familiar, the socially acceptable. But something in you will not let you turn back. Something in you knows that the only way forward is through, that the only way to understand the strange object you've been carrying is to examine it fully, to hold it up to the light, to see it for what it truly is. This is a territory of the shadow, the part of yourself that you have disowned, denied, repressed, the part that contains not only your fears and your wounds, but also your power, your authenticity, your truth. Carl Jung, the great depth psychologist, spoke of the shadow as the unconscious part of the personality that the ego does not identify with, the part that is often projected onto others, the part that must be integrated if one is to become whole. And for those who walk this inward path, this integration is not optional. It is not something you can defer, something you can avoid, something you can delegate to others. It is your work, your task, your responsibility. And it is difficult work, because it requires you to face the parts of yourself that you have spent a lifetime running from. It requires you to acknowledge your anger, your jealousy, your pettiness, your cruelty, your arrogance, your vulnerability, your shame. It requires you to see that you are not the good person you thought you were, not the enlightened being you hope to become, but a complex, contradictory, deeply human creature capable of both great kindness and great harm. And this realization, this confrontation with your own duality, is humbling. It is destabilizing. It is, in many ways, a kind of death, the death of the idealized self, the death of the persona, the death of the illusion that you are somehow above the messiness of human nature. But it is also, paradoxically, the birth of something new. Because once you have faced your shadow, once you have stopped projecting onto others, once you have accepted that you contain multitudes, that you are both light and dark, both noble and base, both conscious and unconscious, you become more integrated, more whole, more real. You stop pretending. You stop performing. You stop trying to be someone you are not. And in that authenticity, in that groundedness, you discover a kind of freedom that is not available to those who remain on the surface, who remain identified with their personas, who remain unconscious of their shadows. This freedom is not the freedom of doing whatever you want. It is not the freedom of indulgence or license or moral relativism. It is the freedom of self-knowledge, the freedom that comes from knowing who you are, from accepting who you are, from taking responsibility for who you are. And with that freedom comes a burden. The burden of choice, the burden of agency, the burden of knowing that you can no longer blame others for your suffering, for your stagnation, for your failure to live fully and authentically. Around this point in the journey, around this midpoint of self-confrontation and integration, there's often a deepening of solitude, not loneliness, but solitude, a chosen withdrawal from the noise and distraction of the world, a deliberate turning inward to process, to reflect, to digest what has been learned. This solitude is not escapism. It is not avoidance. It is necessary. It is sacred. It is a space in which transformation happens, the space in which the old self dissolves and the new self begins to emerge. And during this time, you may feel more isolated than ever, more misunderstood than ever, more distant from the people you once called friends or family, because you have changed, you have grown, you have seen things that cannot be unseen, understood things that cannot be ununderstood, and there is no going back. There is no returning to the innocence, the naivety, the simplicity of the life you once lived. You have crossed a threshold, and on the other side of that threshold, you are different, not better, not superior, but different. And that difference, that transformation, creates a kind of loneliness that is difficult to bear because the people who knew you before may no longer recognize you, may no longer relate to you, may no longer feel comfortable around you, and you, in turn, may no longer feel comfortable around them. Not because you judge them, not because you think you are above them, but because you are speaking a different language now, operating from a different set of values, asking different questions, seeking different answers. If you have made it this far, if you're still here, still engaged, still feeling the resonance of this journey within your own life, then perhaps this is a space worth returning to. Perhaps this conversation, this reflection, is something you would like to continue. If so, you are welcome here. You are not alone in this. And yet, despite the solitude, despite the isolation, despite the difficulty of the path, there is something that sustains you, something that keeps you moving forward even when every part of you wants to stop, wants to give up, wants to retreat into the safety of unconsciousness. That something is meaning. Not happiness, not pleasure, not comfort, but meaning. The sense that this journey, this struggle, this confrontation with yourself and with the deeper structures of existence matters. The sense that you are not just passing time, not just consuming and producing and reproducing the patterns of the culture around you, but that you are participating in something larger, something older, something more fundamental. You are participating in the ancient human task of becoming conscious, of waking up, of seeing through the illusions and projections and the collective narratives that keep most people asleep. And this participation, this engagement with the depths of your own psyche and the depths of human existence, gives your life a weight, a substance, a significance that cannot be found in the ordinary pursuits of success, status, security, or social approval. But let's be very clear about something. This is not a path of superiority. This is not a path of specialness. This is not a path that makes you chosen in the sense of being favored by the universe, blessed by the gods, or destined for greatness. This is a path of responsibility. It is a path of humility. It is a path that demands more from you, not less. It is a path that requires you to bear the burden of awareness without using that awareness as a weapon against others, without using it to elevate yourself, without using it to justify a sense of entitlement or exemption from the ordinary struggles of human life. Because the danger, the great temptation of this path, is inflation. It is the ego's attempt to co-opt the process, to identify with the transformation, to say, I am special, I am chosen, I am enlightened, I am above the masses. And this inflation, this identification with the process rather than with the ongoing practice of awareness and humility, is a trap. It is a dead end. It is a thing that will stop your growth, that will close you off, that will turn your awakening into just another form of sleep, just another illusion, just another mask. The true mark of integration, the true sign that the journey is progressing, is not that you feel special or chosen or superior, but that you feel more human, more vulnerable, more connected to the suffering and the struggle and the beauty of ordinary life. You feel more compassion, not less. You feel more humility, not less. You feel more aware of your own limitations, your own blindness, your own capacity for self-deception. You realize that the work is never finished, that there's always more to see, more to integrate, more to accept. You realize that the path does not lead to some final destination, some state of permanent enlightenment, some escape from the human condition. It leads instead to a deeper and more conscious participation in that condition, a willingness to live fully, to love deeply, to suffer honestly, to die gracefully. This is the real teaching. This is the real wisdom. Not that you are chosen, but that you have chosen to wake up, to grow up, to show up, and to keep choosing again and again, day after day, moment after moment, even when it is hard, even when it is lonely, even when no one is watching, even when there is no reward. And as you walk this path, as you continue to integrate and deepen and grow, you begin to notice something subtle but profound. You begin to notice that the strange object you found all those years ago, the thing that no one could identify, the thing that you yourself could not name, is not a thing at all. It is not an object. It is not a possession. It is not something external to you. It is you. It is your consciousness, your awareness, your capacity to reflect, to question, to see. It is the part of you that is not content with surfaces, not satisfied with answers, not willing to accept the given narratives without examination. It is the part of you that insists on truth, even when truth is uncomfortable, even when truth is unpopular, even when truth is isolating. And this part of you, this awareness, this consciousness, is not a burden. It is a gift. Not a gift in the sense of something that makes you special, but a gift in the sense of something that allows you to live more fully, more authentically, more consciously than you would otherwise be able to live. It is the gift of being awake in a world where most people are sleepwalking. It is the gift of being present in a world where most people are distracted. It is the gift of being real in a world where most people are performing. But with this gift comes a responsibility. You cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unknow what you know. You cannot go back to the innocence, the simplicity, the unconsciousness of the life you once lived. And because you cannot go back, you must go forward. You must take what you have learned, what you have integrated, what you have become, and you must bring it into the world, not by preaching, not by proselytizing, not by trying to convince others that they should follow your path, but by living it, by embodying it, by being an example of what it means to live consciously, authentically, responsibly. You must become, in the language of myth, a light in the darkness, not because you are brighter than others, not because you are better than others, but because you have chosen to keep your light burning even when the wind is strong, even when the darkness is thick, even when it would be easier to let it go out. This is a work of individuation. The process that Jung described as the development of the individual from the collective, the differentiation of the self from the mass, the realization of one's unique potential and purpose. And it is important to understand that individuation is not isolation. It is not separation. It is not a rejection of others or withdrawal from the world. It is, instead, a deepening of connection, a more authentic participation in the collective, a contribution that can only be made by someone who has done the inner work, who has faced their shadow, who has integrated their contradictions, who has become whole. Because only someone who is whole can truly serve others. Only someone who has faced their own suffering can truly hold space for the suffering of others. Only someone who has wrestled with their own darkness can truly appreciate the light. And only someone who has taken responsibility for their own life can truly inspire others to do the same. As we move toward the closing of this reflection, as we begin to integrate what has been said and felt and shared, I want to invite you one more time to stay connected to this space, to this conversation, to this ongoing exploration of what it means to live consciously and authentically. If this has resonated with you, if this has touched something true within you, then perhaps you would like to continue this journey together. You are always welcome here. So what, then, is the final insight? What is the ultimate teaching of this strange and solitary path? It is this: you are not chosen by the universe, not selected by fate, not marked by destiny, but you have been given, or you have cultivated, or you have stumbled upon the capacity for awareness, the capacity for reflection, the capacity for growth. And that capacity, that potential, is not a sign of superiority. It is a sign of responsibility. It is a call to live more fully, more consciously, more courageously than you might otherwise have lived. It is a call to face your shadow, to integrate your contradictions, to accept your humanity, to take ownership of your life. It is a call to stop waiting for permission, stop waiting for validation, stop waiting for someone else to tell you who you are or what you are capable of. It is a call to become the author of your own story, the architect of your own consciousness, the creator of your own meaning. And this call is not exclusive. It is not reserved for a special few. It is available to anyone who is willing to listen, willing to look, willing to do the work. The difference is not that some people are chosen and others are not. The difference is that some people choose to answer call and others do not. Some people choose to go inward, to question, to grow, and others choose to remain on the surface, to accept, to conform. And there is no judgment in this. There is no hierarchy. There is only the recognition that different people are at different stages of the journey, that everyone is doing the best they can with the awareness they have, and that your task is not to elevate yourself above others, but to walk your own path with integrity, with humility, with compassion, and with a deep and abiding commitment to truth. The strange object you found, the thing that no one could identify, the thing that you yourself struggled to understand, was never a thing at all. It was a question. It was a question of who you are, who you can become, what you are capable of, what you are called to do. And that question does not have a final answer. It does not have a destination. It is only a process, a practice, a way of being in a world that is characterized by awareness, by presence, by authenticity, by responsibility. And as you continue to walk this path, as you continue to ask questions, as you continue to do the work, you will discover that the journey itself is the answer. The process itself is the destination. The practice itself is the teaching. And the real gift, the real treasure, the real wisdom that you gain is not knowledge, not power, not status, not recognition, but the quiet, unshakable sense that you are living your life fully, that you are showing up as yourself, that you are participating in the great human project of becoming conscious, of waking up, of growing into the fullness of your potential. Not because you are special, but because you are human. Not because you are chosen, but because you have chosen. And that choice, that commitment, that ongoing practice of awareness and growth and integration is what makes your life meaningful, what makes your suffering bearable, what makes your existence worthwhile. So carry the question with you, carry the awareness with you, carry the responsibility with you, and know that you are not alone on this path. Even when it feels like you are, know that others have walked this way before you, that others are walking it now, and that others will walk it after you are gone. Know that the journey is ancient, that the process is universal, that the struggle is shared, and know, above all, that the work you're doing, the inner work, the shadow work, the integration work, the awareness work, is not selfish, not narcissistic, not indulgent. It is the most important work you can do, because it is a work that allows you to show up in the world as a whole, integrated, conscious human being capable of contributing something real, something true, something valuable to the collective. This is the path. This is the teaching. This is the way. Not the chosen one, but the one who is chosen to be fully, deeply, courageously human.